Good morning, people. I'm usually here in the afternoon, so I'm glad I started that off correctly. Good morning and happy Friday. Welcome back to another episode of Roots and the City Live. You can see I look a little shinier today. That's because I brought my good camera in from the office. So we are off to a great start. I'm super excited to have you all with us today just because I'm bringing back one of my favorite lenders to give us a quick chat, have a quick chat, I should say. We're going to try to keep it conversational. The topic being, hey, how can us as lenders and brokers set you up for success in this shifting market? It's been a little wonky, whether it's been rates coming down or people deciding to come off of the sidelines. Everybody's in a different boat. So I'm going to bring Madeline on here in a second and we will get into that discussion. But just some housekeeping items before we get into that. So remember, if you look at if you're looking at homes on the market and you see that they've been sitting for a while, don't discard, don't you know take those off of your list or ignore those. Check with your brokers, check with me to see if anything's going on with them by way of offers, what traffic has been like. There's a chance you could probably get a deal. Now, let's be clear on that. Just because a house has been sitting for over a month, let's say, doesn't necessarily mean anything's wrong with it. But depending on how motivated the seller is, you might be able to find some opportunity there. We'll talk a little bit about that with Madeline too. But another housekeeping item, remember to check your feeds. People are getting very creative with marketing. I know some of you get those automatic emails that you see in your inboxes that your broker sets you up on, but there's been actually a lot of off market activity. And what that looks like is agents working behind the scenes with their clients who may have interested parties or they just want to treat that home special. That's not uncommon. Some people are like, hey, how can we get this done off market? And we're actually seeing a lot of that. So the discussion today and checking in with us after today's conversation is only going to continue to set you up for success and make sure you're extra prepared. So I'm going to bring on our guest and let her do a little intro. So I'm bringing Madeline on now.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Hey, Madeline. Good morning.
Good morning. I am Madeline Schevlin, and I am a mortgage loan officer here in the Indianapolis area. I'm licensed in the whole state of Indiana. And I got into the business after going through the home buying process myself and realizing how overwhelming it can be, especially for first-time home buyers. So my why is to give people the experience that I wish I had. Clear guidance, strong communication, and a process that feels simple instead of stressful. So I love helping clients feel confident and supported every step of the way. And I work closely with realtors like Jamal to make sure that the whole experience is smooth for everyone involved.
Yes, yes. And Madeline and I have done business together. Our clients were well taken care of, and the communication is next level. So if you have the opportunity, give her a call or email. You see it scrolling below us there on the screen. Make sure you jot those notes down so you can reach out to us directly after the show. Before we get into our conversation, I'm going to run our ad and just get it out of the way so we can focus on the topic at hand. So I'll give us a moment and we will be right back.
Buying a home should feel exciting, not overwhelming. Whether it's your first place, a move up, or a refinance, the right mortgage strategy makes all the difference. I'm Madeline Schevlin, a local mortgage loan officer based right here in the Indy area. I specialize in helping first-time buyers and growing families navigate the loan process with confidence. No jargon, no surprises. Just guidance from somebody who truly cares. I'm here to make things simple, strategic, and stress-free. From helping you get pre-approved to finding the right loan program, I take pride in being the loan officer who actually answers the phone, breaks things down clearly, and keeps you informed every step of the way. Refinancing, I'll help you weigh your options and decide what's actually best for you. Let's make your home goals happen together with a mortgage that fits your life. Follow me on Instagram at Mortgage with Madeline or visit rate.com/Madeline Schevlin to connect today. Buying a home should feel exciting, not overwhelming. Whether it's your first place, a move up, or a refinance, the right mortgage strategy makes all the difference. I'm Madeline Schevlin, a local mortgage loan officer based right here in the Indy area. I specialize in helping first-time buyers and growing families navigate the loan process with confidence. No jargon, no surprises, just guidance from somebody who truly cares. I'm here to make things simple, strategic, and stress-free. From helping you get pre-approved to finding the right loan program, I take pride in being the loan officer who actually answers the phone, breaks things down clearly, and keeps you informed every step of the way. Refinancing? I'll help you weigh your options and decide what's actually best for you. Let's make your home goals happen together with a mortgage that fits your life. Follow me on Instagram at Mortgage with Madeline or visit rate.com/Madeline Schevlin to connect today. Buying a home should feel exciting, not overwhelming.
Okay. And now my listeners, they're familiar. I'm working on an ancient laptop and it kind of does what it wants to sometimes. So excuse the hiccup there. But let me speak to Madeline in that commercial just for a second. So she actually does answer the phone. There's been a number of times where whether it's text, a quick call, or voice note, an email, hey, can you run these numbers? We're trying to brainstorm, we're trying to strategize, and Madeline gets back to you in a timely fashion, which realtors appreciate. So thank you for that, Madeline. Now, let me unmute you. Okay. This is an exciting day, listeners, because this is our first live guest on the show. So very happy to have Madeline here and watching me work through all my little kinks with the show. To get us started, let me pull up the article that actually inspired this conversation. We've been seeing a lot of stuff on Instagram, right? I don't know what your favorite social media platform is, Matt.
Instagram, for sure.
Okay. So that's the one where I live quite a bit. And excuse my dogs, the squirrels are on today. So on the screen here, you'll see a post that I found. And I just want to engage you listeners a little bit just before we get into our discussion here. Where did it go? There it is. So realtor.com, they post a lot of interesting articles and everyone's posting all kinds of things about real estate, but check out this headline. Buying in the fall can mean thousands saved for home buyers. What do you think, just off the top of your head, about that, Madeline, that statement?
So, yes, I typically recommend, if possible, for my buyer clients to buy in the fall or winter because there is less competition. We live in the Midwest and not everybody wants to move when it's cold or snowy. So if buyers can, I encourage them to buy in the fall, winter. There's less competition, and that therefore can mean that they can snag a better deal. So that's what I typically recommend if you can. Not to say there's pros and cons to buying any time of the year, but that's what I typically see. And then, yeah, this says too, like sellers can be motivated to move before the end of the year, or they might want to move before the holidays. So just different things to keep in mind.
That's right. And I will piggyback off of that with the motivation piece. It really comes down to that motivation. Buyers, what's your goal for the home? Are you willing to be a little flexible on things like features and location? And same on the selling side. Everyone doesn't like to empty their coin purse more than they have to. But by that motivation, how can we play well in the sandbox together? So today I really just wanted to chat about just have us share, and mostly Madeline, because she's our lender superhero here, tips that buyers can take into the market. What are you seeing, Madeline, that's helping buyers in this current market?
So I've got 3 tips. Do you want me to share those now?
Yeah, let's jump in.
Okay. So 3 tips for buying in this current environment, at least in the Indianapolis area. So I always encourage clients get pre-approved early so that you know your numbers. What I'm seeing is that sometimes people are on the sidelines or are waiting and then they find the perfect house. And then it's Friday at 9 o'clock and you're scrambling and trying to find your W-2s and also make an offer, and it's just creating more stress. So I always tell people get pre-approved ahead of time. So like get the paperwork out of the way, and then you know your numbers and know that you're looking at at the correct price range with your realtor. I was like, you never want to be looking at $400,000 houses if you really should only be looking at $300,000 houses. Nobody wants to get teased.
Right.
So making sure you're talking with a lender and knowing what you could actually get approved for a mortgage, and talking through like what is an estimated monthly payment going to look like. I always ask people like, okay, where are you leasing now? When does your lease end? How much is your rent? How much are you willing to go up to paying with a mortgage? Because you're still going to have water, sewer, gas, utilities, all that on top of it. So what is your monthly max that you're comfortable paying? And then how much are you wanting to spend out of pocket? So I go by those 2 numbers, monthly payment and all in funds that you want to spend, rather than the maximum you can get pre-approved for. But yes, and typically realtors also require a pre-approval letter by a lender before you go see houses, because again, we don't want to tease you and like waste anybody's time by going and seeing houses that you can't reasonably afford.
Yeah, we don't want to get anybody's hopes up. And just because you decide you want to go buy a house and you have the number in your head doesn't necessarily mean that number that you have in your head is going to check out on that paper, those reports that the lenders are pulling for you, that Madeline's pulling for you. So being prepared that way is huge. I mean, just setting the expectation and just being real about it. And what I find is that when you are really prepared that way, a little bit of what I'm seeing on the buyer side, the realtor side, excuse me, are people deciding to come off of the sidelines. Like they've been watching the rates for months and what's it going to do? Hey, we're going to favorite this house and watch it for 5 months only to see it go down, 5 or 10,000. But what happens when you wait too long and then they decide to jump in and they're not pre-approved and you've got 2 other people maybe looking at the house at the same time? You don't want to set yourself up that way. So getting that pre-approval is crucial.
Absolutely.
When I'm thinking, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go.
I was thinking something else that just jumped out at me. When people are looking for homes, the number one factor typically is the location. And I'm finding some buyers, whether they're waiting for the location or they just really want to buy a home, but nothing's popping up in their desired locations. Flexibility, just being open to, now that we have more inventory on the market, are you open to looking at a different area? Maybe it's close to the area you like, or maybe something surprises you about a home that's in a different part of town that you weren't considering. So I've had some success this summer with people that way, just being open to what's out there and not getting too stuck in the mud and fixated on that, what is the dream home?
That's actually my number 2 bullet point. So that's crazy that you're saying that. So yeah, my number 2 is be selective, but ready to act in the competitive market. And I always encourage people too, like, okay, now that you're pre-approved and you're going to go start looking at houses with your realtor, like for myself, it only took looking at 2 houses, but sometimes people need a little bit longer. And I'm like, all right, go start to get your feet wet, start to get an idea, like wants versus needs. And I think too, being more realistic as a first-time home buyer, that you're not going to find your dream house necessarily when it's your first house. I tell people this is the second home I've ever owned and it's still not my dream house, but your first house helped you afford your second house and you just keep moving up. So
That's right.
Taking into account, like, yes, times have changed, things are more expensive, and being more realistic with like what might be like a first-time home buyer house in today's environment.
That's a solid point. We always, we're in the industry, listeners and viewers. I can say viewers now. So we do this every day. So we think we can see the big picture before you can sometimes. And hey, I'm not trying to downplay any of your smarts out there. There's a lot of very savvy clients and people that we work with who are not in real estate. But just thinking ahead that way, I know I always talk about my condo and how we got here. We have that in common. This is like our second home, and it's still
Yeah.
not dream home, but you use the real estate that way to work and make it work for you so you can continue to grow in the right
Right.
direction.
Absolutely.
Now, something I'm noticing, sellers don't get mad at me. I've got some selling clients right now, but seller concessions, what does that mean when you're writing an offer? Say a home has been active for 60 plus days. The answer is always no if you don't ask. So, Madeline, can you speak to a little bit of the seller concessions piece and kind of what you see on offers that you help realtors with?
Absolutely, yeah. So most of the offers that I'm seeing come through are including seller credits or seller concessions. It's the same thing. And it's a certain amount that the seller is going to credit you at closing to go towards closing costs. And with that, you can also use it either just to lower your out-of-pocket amount or to buy down your interest rate. And so there's two different ways you can buy down your interest rate that I really wanted to explain that are not maybe commonly known. One in particular that's not commonly known is a temporary buy down. So I'm going to use a real life example. I have clients closing this month and they are using some of the money that the seller is giving them to do a temporary buy down. A temporary buy down does have to be fully funded by the seller. But the interest rate that we locked them in at is 6.25%. We did a 2-1 buy down. So for the first year, their interest rate is going to be 4.25%. So it's going to save them $300 a month for the first year of their mortgage. And then the second year, their mortgage interest rate is going to go to 5.25%, and it's still going to save them $150 a month. And then by year 3, then the interest rate will go to the one that we actually locked in at 6.25. So there's different ways to do it. There's a way to just do like a 1-year temporary buy down if you can't get that much from the seller, or in this example, a 2-1 buy down. So the first year it's 2% lower, next year it's 1% lower, year 3 it goes to what was locked in at. So that's huge to save $300 a month. And these are first time homebuyer clients and have a rate in the 4s for your first year is humongous, and not enough people are aware of it. So we're utilizing that. The other option is a permanent buy down, which you as a buyer can either fund yourself or have some of your seller closing costs go towards that. So I let people know mortgage interest rates come out every weekday around 10 or 11 a.m. They change throughout the day. And when I type in everyone's unique information, because the interest rate that I would be offered today versus Jamal would be offered today are different. The interest rate you're going to be offered by a lender is going to be as unique as a thumbprint. There's like over 20 different factors that go into what interest rate you're going to be offered. And mainly number one is your credit score. But when I type in your unique financial situation and get your interest rate for that day, I tell my clients, okay, today's interest rate is a 6.25 if you don't want to pay anything additional. If my clients are like, nope, Madeline, I really want a 5.99. I'm like, okay, we can get a 5.99, but it's going to cost X amount of dollars.
Okay.
And that is called a permanent buy down. So then the interest rate for the entire life of the loan is the 5.99 in this example. And they would have paid a little bit extra to get the 5.99. And that would just be an additional fee that's going to be added to their closing costs. So it would just be extra cost for them. Or like we said, we can have the seller pay for some of it. So temporary, where it's just, 1 or 2 years where it's lower, or permanently buying it down. So it's a lower rate for the entire life of the loan.
Yeah, and see, this is why we work very closely with our lender partners. The agents, we know enough to be dangerous, but personally speaking for myself, I'm going on 5 years in the business, and I've never actually had a client move forward or receive a buy down of any kind. And that's a trend that's picking up right now because again, what is that motivation? And on the seller side, if they can help someone be successful that way and everyone's happy because the home closed, that's great. And that's what we aim for in a transaction, to make both sides happy.
Yeah.
Or
And
feel like they're walking away with it.
I was going to say, I just heard like a buyer the other day say, oh, I've been keeping an eye on this house, but I just want to see if it comes down more. I'm like, hey, go ask your agent. You don't know, like that is one of their roles, is to reach out to that listing agent and find out how motivated that seller is And just because it says it's 300,000 online, maybe they might take a little bit lower or offer them full price and then ask for the buy down. So that's where a realtor and lender partner together went to structure your offer, to strategize it to make the most appealing offer so we can win it. But you don't know until you reach out. And so like just sitting there waiting for it to maybe come down isn't necessarily the best choice.
Mm-hmm. Now, we had our transaction over the summer. We actually won that on a backup offer. And similar to what Madeline's saying, just, what's going on with the other side, because they were already actually locked in. But that seller was motivated enough to say, hey, we're going to go with this offer because, okay, the numbers might be right where we want them to be, but our terms also were a little sweeter. And Madeline's absolutely right. We can't just sit over here and refresh a page. We should be like, you see people do that, like the signs in the yard, it's going to sell, or okay, there's not a new house. We see the same houses. That's not how it's supposed to go. So we do reach out to the other agents and see, what's their bottom line? What is the seller's bottom line? Or even ask, okay, you want the price. What else is important to you?
Yeah.
And then that can give us some more data to work with when we're constructing that winning offer.
Absolutely.
Now, before I shift into letting Madeline share a little bit more about rate and herself and what she can offer you all, did you have any final thoughts on like tips or success items for buyers to take away?
I think those are my big three. So make sure getting pre-approved early, be selective but ready to act in a competitive market, and then leveraging seller concessions. And I think too, maybe I'll plug this in too. People are so scared to talk to a lender and get pre-approved because you think that you're automatically going to get your credit hit, and you're not. Some lenders do, but I make sure that when you fill out the online mortgage application, which only takes like 10 minutes, that is only a soft credit pull. I do not go to do a hard credit pull until I know that we can darn near get you 100% a house. So I wait until as long as we can. So don't stress about what it's going to do to your credit score. And even when we do pull your credit, it should not impact it that drastically. But mortgage lenders use a different algorithm than anybody else. So just because your Credit Karma or your Capital One app says your credit's in the 760s, we might pull something like 720. So it's really important to talk to us to see what a lender has, because that's the credit score that we're going to use for your interest rate. So if you're not going to be buying a house for even a couple months, we might need those couple months to get your score a little bit higher rather than you just waiting. And I do see, so I'm 30, I do see a lot of people my age that are like, oh, I'm just going to wait to save to buy a house. I'm like, do you even know how much you need to save? Like, well, no. And I'm like, well, then why don't you talk to me or somebody else that's a mortgage lender? Because then we can draft up exactly how much you need to have saved, and then you can work towards that. And I tell people, like, open up a separate bank account and like put away a certain amount from your paycheck, and that's your house fund. But you don't know until you talk to somebody.
That's right. That's right. Like, I know for me and my household, we were the exact same way. We just didn't know until we knew. We'd been, working in our jobs for a while. We'd been kind of saving, and we were surprised to learn, we could act sooner, much sooner than we thought we could. Madeline, our clients, the creators, I'm sure they wouldn't mind us sharing. They were in the same boat. Initially, when we met, they came to one of our webinars that we hosted earlier this year. And in their brain, they were like, well, based on our life and what's going on, it's probably best to just wait a year. And we're so happy that they reached out and said, you know what, let us see what we can do, because that's all it takes. And that's what we try to do, is just provide easy to digest information, education. And, 8 times out of 10, most people can act much sooner, like 6 months sooner at
I
least.
see that a lot, where people reached out to me even recently. They're like, all right, we want to buy a house by the end of the year. And we're humans. So like, as soon as you know your numbers and what you're pre-approved for, like, it's hard not to go on Zillow or realtor.com and just start, and then you see when you're like, oh my gosh, I want to go see it. And you're like, told you so, you're going to be in a house when you thought. And then that's even better, because like now I have clients that I'm like, you're going to be in before Halloween. Like, you're going to have Thanksgiving and Christmas, and like you can decorate for all the holidays. So I think that's be like to just see them where they're like, all right, we're got a couple months out, and then you end up buying sooner than you think.
I saw that on your socials, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you had a closing that happened like in 8 days.
Yes. So I
Wow.
try to get the clear to close, meaning you're through the underwriting process. I try to get you through that as soon as possible, so that you can just focus on packing and coordinating family or movers or whatever you need to do rather than stressing about, like, oh my gosh, is this loan going to go through? So,
Yes.
yes, I always tell people too. So, as a mortgage loan officer, I will be with you every step of the way. When we get you pre-approved, we're compiling your file, your case file of why you're worthy of a mortgage and borrowing X amount of dollars from the government for a loan. So I'm creating your case file and you're turning in all those documents to me. Once we're under contract, we're going to turn that into what's called an underwriter. And they're going to go through your file with a fine-tooth comb and be like, okay, yep, we love what Madeline's collected so far, but we still need XYZ. And I've
Hmm.
seen that list from the underwriter be like 2 items, and I've seen it be like 15 items. It just depends on the
Yeah.
mess of your finances or your job situation. So I try to be really proactive and collect as much as I think that they're going to need up front so that we're reducing that list from the underwriter later. So then the underwriter goes through and lets us know what we need. And then our job, my job, and the client, we want to be mutually in agreement of just trying to get that turned into the underwriter as soon as possible. So then they can give us the clear to close, green light. You've got their full permission and mine to go to the title company and get the keys to the house. So that I just know that that's a huge relief for people. And like, we've gotten it done so early. I'm like, you're not even going to hear from me every day now because you're already through it. But for the next 2 weeks, just focus on packing. I'm here in the background. And then, like, the week of closing, we'll go over final numbers and stuff like that. But I, again, go through that because I didn't have that when I bought my first house. And I was single and buying my first house out of state from my family. And so I wanted to know, like, okay, is this thing still happening? Are we good?
Yeah.
So trying to get my people through the process in a streamlined, less stressful way so they can just focus on all the other aspects that go into it.
We love that. So many good, tidbits that you're dropping, gems you're dropping. Do you want to take a few minutes or more, whatever you feel, and tell the people a little bit about what you can do for them, what you and Rate can do for them?
Sure. So yes, I am Madeline. I live in the northern Indianapolis area. Like I said earlier, I'm licensed in the whole state. My office is in Carmel. I've been in the industry about 4 or 5 years now. I got into the industry, like I said, because I bought my first house young and was single and doing it all on my own, and realized that there's not enough loan officers that are female and millennial and explain it in just layman's terms. There is so much misinformation online, and we hear so many different chirps from outsiders and different opinions that it's hard to decipher, like, what is the truth. And so I always remind people, like, your realtor and your lender need to be your trusted team, and you need to lean on us because we're in the market and the industry every single day versus your uncle that bought a house 5 years ago. So yeah, I got into the industry a couple years ago. Actually, that's when I moved to Indianapolis, was in 2021, and that's when I got into the industry. I am originally from the Chicago area. That is where most of my family is still. Then I lived in Michigan for 8 years. That's where I went to college and then bought my first house and graduated. And then I met my now husband, and his job brought us to the Indy area. So I work for Rate. They are headquartered in Chicago. They sponsor the White Sox Stadium, if people are familiar, Rate Field.
Ooh.
And then
Oh yeah, duh. Oh my God.
yes, I'm actually a diehard Cubs fan, but it's still something to, like, relate it to. You're like, oh, okay, yeah.
Okay,
I've seen it.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, Rate is one of the larger lenders in the country. I have worked for them for about a year and a half now. I've worked at a couple other companies, but I chose this one mainly because of their technology. So most of the mortgage process that you'll go through with Rate is done through their app, which is super nice because some lenders still operate, heaven forbid, with like faxing. But I tell people, I'm like, we always have our phone like 6 inches from our face. So to be able to do the mortgage process through an app when we already have a bajillion apps on our phone, you download the app, create a free account, and then fill out the mortgage application through there. As soon as it's filled out, then I get pinged and can start to look at it. And then you can take a picture of your ID, take a picture of your W-2, and upload it right into the app. And then you can get lifetime real live updates of like, okay, it's in underwriting. Okay, it's in processing, like, so that you know where your loan is. Just making it a lot easier than hopping on your email. I mean, I tell people, I'm like, we're mainly going to communicate through text, but when I do send you emails, I'll even text you, be like, hey, something's in your inbox, go ahead and sign it. Just most people will respond quicker to text. So that's what we typically do. And Jamal knows this, like when we have a client together, we usually have a group text going so that we're all on the same page.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So Rate has amazing technology that I like, and we're local. We have our office in Carmel and trying to expand our branch here and our name. We also offer just about every single type of loan that exists out there. So we offer conventional loans, FHA, USDA, VA. Something really cool with our VA is we do not charge our lender fees for any VA loans. That saves clients about $1,600 in closing costs. Not every lender offers that, and we do that as a thank you for your service. So VA loans, and I've done like home renovation loans, down payment assistance. I'm starting to do more loans with investors. So just about everything out there. And I think the only thing I can't do is just pure land or like building on land, but just about everything else. And then 2, helping clients that are refinancing. Rates did come down a little bit in September. So helping them refinance and making sure it makes sense, because other lenders are vultures. Somebody just said that the other day, oh my gosh, lenders are vultures. But like they might be trying to persuade you into refinancing, and it might not actually make sense. So running the actual numbers for my clients are like, okay, yep. Because like there is a cost associated with refinancing. So you want to make sure, okay, is what I'm going to be saving monthly going to outweigh how much it's going to cost to refinance? And I promise my people to always be honest and straightforward and give advice like I would a family or friend. So talking through that and being able to refinance people and help people, whether they're going to pay off debt or take out money to be able to do home improvements, or just because they want a lower interest rate. So I love helping people through the process, whether buying or refinancing. So it's become fun for me to geek out on all things, especially like credit scores. I could talk about them all the time. Nobody tells us this stuff in school, but then it's so important when you're an adult.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that. And yeah, Rate has been great to us. And again, that's why I wanted to have Madeline on here for this conversation. It won't be the last. And gosh, what else? I guess that's the end of the show. I usually am prepared with things to do this weekend. Let me think. So you've got the Zoo Boo situation, listeners and viewers, at Indianapolis Zoo. You can dress up and go get some treats and trick or treat at the zoo. Harvest Nights is one of my favorites at Newfields. Have you ever been to Harvest Nights at Newfields?
I haven't even been to Newfields. I need to go to Newfields.
Like,
I know. Everyone talks about it. I'm like, I need to go.
I'm a museum nerd, so like if I have a slow afternoon, I'll just go and stroll and look at everything. But Harvest Nights is very cool because they take the entire property and they've got acreage over there, decorate it crazy, pumpkins everywhere. They have a haunted mansion. You could be a family or have a really cute date night situation there. I know me and Stoney will be doing that later this month. So you should definitely check that out. Harvest Nights is amazing. Well, listeners, remember at the end of the show, this will live on our Facebook page and the YouTube page. You have Madeline's contact information here. Do us a favor. If you're watching the replay, comment packet in the comments and we will deliver a buyer packet directly to you. We've sent this out to people who have attended our webinars in the past that we partnered on. So we want to make sure that we connect with you that way as well. I'm Jamal the Broker everywhere. Instagram is my favorite. Madeline, do you want to tell the people where to find you on socials?
Sure. You can follow me on Instagram at Mortgage with Madeline.
All right. Mortgage with Madeline. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great weekend, listeners. Go do some of those activities and report back, please. Bye.